Mob of the Dead. An intimidating title to say the least, with an even darker setting. For those of you unaware, let me explain. Call of Duty has had a trend of releasing a new game every year and has taken the crown of first-person shooters in the industry. There's been over 17 games released now, some better than others. Yet, one thing pretty consistent with each of the developers is the mode known simply as zombies. The object of this mode is simple: hold out against the hordes of the undead as long as possible, and upgrade your weapons and equipment to survive for longer. And that was a huge word in the early days of zombies: survive. There was no win condition or alternate choice. The only inevitable thing was to at some point die as you were facing the undead. Yet, as the series progressed, things became more and more refined. Surviving took different forms, and soon there became multiple priorities in zombies. Within the mode, something known as an Easter egg could be unlocked. And no, this isn't some sort of Marvel end credits scene. This was an actual hunt, with complex tasks and steps to do around the map to unlock a special ending to the mode. This is some of the general knowledge on what Call of Duty Zombies is about. But with this overview, I haven't explained the meat of this topic: Mob of the Dead. Mob of the Dead takes place on the Rock, better known as Alcatraz Island, on New Year's Eve, 1933. It follows the characters of Sal DeLuca, Finn O'Leary, Billy Handsome, and Al Arlington, aka the Weasel. Each has a dark history of murder and violence, and on this fateful night, the four men finally execute an escape attempt that they have been planning for months. Within the first minutes of the opening cutscene, we get a glimpse on how these four operate together. Sal DeLuca is the calm and persuasive personality of the group, Finn O'Leary the strategist, Billy Handsome the muscle, and Weasel serves as the jack of all trades. These four make a strange yet compelling group to base a story off of, and one that just gets deeper and deeper as you go. And this is where I wanted to present the topic for today: Mob of the Dead and the Art of Ambiance. But hold on, let's take a look at what that exactly means. Ambiance, as defined by Merriam-Webster Dictionary, is a feeling or mood associated with a particular place, person, or thing, or even further, a special quality or impression associated with that thing. And with this idea, it not only covers the aspect of sound, but also the feelings associated with a place or location, as well as visual aspects. So let's talk about sound first. When the developers of Mob of the Dead designed and made this new zombies map, they also came up with a clever new way to use sound. In previous maps, sounds would be based purely on ending the round, and for those of you unaware, there's multiple rounds in zombies. For example, when you first load into a new game, round 1 starts with about 10 to 12 zombies. When you defeat all the zombies, the round ends, and you get a little breather about 5 or 10 seconds before the next round starts, and more zombies come. So anyways, when you end the round, you would hear a small song correlating with the map you're playing. Besides that, there wasn't too many songs or music being played. On the flip side of this, Mob of the Dead was the first of its kind to introduce a roaming sound mix to the mode. Instead of music being the exact same thing every round, Mob had music which changed depending on your location. And this was a huge change, and honestly made the map feel more immersive and more of an experience rather than just a game. Sound effects play a huge role in this as well. Most of the sounds you hear also carry the value of being frightening and mysterious in nature. The sparks of electricity and swaying of chains greet you in the first few rooms, which may go unnoticed most of the time. Yet as you progress to the main cell block area, this is when you really notice the sounds. As part of the map progression, killing zombies in front of a dog logo will summon a fiery hound to eat up the remains of the dead. Later, we see a similar auditory cue as the warden comes to attack the players, at this time presenting a danger rather than assistance. The perks on the map is another form of this, amplifying the vibes even more by not having the normal music of the machines, but rather weird flickering and distorted sounds coming from them. And it only gets better from there when we address the visual ambiance. Each and every room in Mob of the Dead has an atmosphere that pops. Whether it be a message or sign on the wall, all the way to the environment and condition of a room. For example, the drastic change from the docks and lower power room with their gloomy atmosphere makes a great contrast to places such as the main cell block or the cafeteria. The burning fires and rubble are much more evident and perilous compared to the latter, which seems more preserved and almost ancient feeling. As you progress down to the docks, whether it be by the spiral staircase or via the gondola, it feels like this part of the island hasn't seen life in quite some time. Another great example is the warden's office. The red-lit room, backed by the abundant amount of papers on the walls, tell you all you need to know about the characteristics of the raving warden. However, the infirmary is the main location that I think of when it comes to ambiance. Right when you enter the area, you notice the greenish tint of the walls and the more compact space provided. All of the rooms feel foreboding and dangerous. And at inconsistent variables, a sound of what I like to think is yodeling can be heard, which ups the vibes even more of this area. And these small details make up a huge reason why I appreciate Mob of the Dead for more than just a game. It feels almost as if you're in a thriller movie as you're playing this, and the key is to find out the backstory and details of what went on in this place. And of course, that's the whole point of the Easter egg, to find this deeper meaning. The main idea of the Easter egg is to escape Alcatraz. As we see etched on the walls, Weasel has made a detailed plan of how to escape the island. And after going to numerous locations, we retrieve items to build a plane. But what we find is that this plan doesn't go exactly as they hoped. Rather than escaping off the island and onto the mainland, we find that the mobsters have instead crashed into none other than the construction of the Golden Gate Bridge. The only way out is through electric chairs on the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge, with the haunting words, "No one escapes alive." As you enter these electric chairs, it doesn't free you from the cycle that you're continuing in. Rather, it just starts it anew by sending you back to the very same location you started the game at. And the whole point of this Easter egg is to break this cycle through various tasks around the map, as well as finding out more about the characters. What we see from the characters themselves is also very interesting, and could be another video in of itself. Each character has specific quotes for certain situations, and while Sal, Billy, and Finn's quotes are very mobsterish in nature, Weasel, on the other hand, has other things on his mind. As you progress through the rounds and fight more and more zombies, some of the things Weasel says just doesn't exactly line up.
We need to get the parts to the workbench. That's what we did last time. We've done this before, over and over again, like we're stuck in some loop. Tell me, what did we do yesterday? Give me one detail about yesterday.
And what we find later on is that while the memories of the mobsters are resetting over and over again, Weasel's memories of each of these cycles is somehow intact. Some of the audio that you hear verifies this. And not to mention the backstory and things that we get to learn about the characters. When they get defeated by zombies and go down, we gain even more information on what they're actually feeling compared to what they're portraying.
They all look at you the same way, don't they, Al? They don't see a man when they look at you. They see a weasel, a rat. You're a survivor, Al. No shame in that. Even a rat survives. You can take it, whatever they throw your way. Still, wouldn't you like to know what it feels like to be respected? What will you do when the truth's revealed? When your whole house of cards comes tumbling down? Will you confess? Or will you run? Where will you run, Albert? All around the mulberry bush? There's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. You know there's only one way this is gonna end, Al.
But one of the most important parts of the Easter egg is some of the final steps. As you progress through the Easter egg, you have to once again go to the Golden Gate Bridge to end the cycle. But this time goes a little bit different than the other times that you go. As you pick up pieces for the plane, you also come in contact with a power-up drop of what specifically looks like headphones. As you pick up these headphones, the screen goes black and white, and just like the real Alcatraz Island tours, the sound of a cassette tape begins to play.
My name is Stanley Ferguson. I was a guard at Alcatraz from 1933 to 1942. Over the decades, Alcatraz has seen more than its fair share of daring escape attempts. However, few were as audacious as the one undertaken by 4 inmates on New Year's Eve, 1933. It's believed that Arlington, aka the Weasel, somehow convinced 3 other inmates that he had devised a foolproof plan to escape the rock. It was a plan that would see them literally taking to the skies on a makeshift aircraft of Arlington's own design. What is known is that no such plane was ever built. Instead, the group's plans for freedom soon descended into bitter argument and infighting. Armed only with makeshift weapons, Finn O'Leary, Sal DeLuca, and Billy Handsome lured the unsuspecting Arlington to the roof, where they intended to exact a bloody and violent revenge. And so it was here, beneath the dark and stormy winter skies, that the hapless Arlington met his grisly end, bleeding to death on the cold concrete roof. For their participation in the murder, the 3 collaborators were sent to death by electric chair. Justice came swiftly. On the morning of January 19, 1934, the execution order was carried out.
Through these audio tapes, we learn a deeper story, which even ties greater to the idea of ambiance. And when you finally get through all of the audio tapes on the map, you are led to the same plane to get you off the island. And as you go to the Golden Gate Bridge, something is different from the other times that you've been there. Instead of fighting side by side with the fellow mobsters against the hordes of the undead, you find 3 of the mobsters on one team, while Weasel is by himself. If the mobsters are able to defeat Weasel, it's game over and the cycle continues. However, if Weasel is the one to defeat the mobsters, the cycle is broken and the game ends. And thinking about it, it's a bit poetic, the idea of beginning and endings and what a cycle really is. This whole map screams with the idea of ambiance and the way to project horror, but also mystery and intrigue. Ask any Call of Duty Zombies player their list of top 5 favorite maps, and Mob of the Dead will be on it almost every time. This map holds a special place in almost everyone's hearts, and it's based on the ideas and concepts presented. It's loved for its location, it's loved for its storyline, and it's loved for its ambiance.